Mr. Tulu, who's responsible for protecting children against major crimes on the reservation in North Dakota?
I would say we all have a duty to protecting children on any reservation, but Major Crimes Act violations are prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's offices.
And investigated.
And investigated by the FBI.
Yeah, and I think the same is true on the Fort Peck Reservation in Montana as well.
That's
correct?
absolutely correct.
Well, let me read you something. Recently, a Reuters article. Drug users are selling their babies, daughters, and sisters for the potent stimulant that is ravaging Native American communities, such as the Assiniboine and Sioux tribes living in the desolate plains, I dispute that, of Fort Peck, say community leaders. We're in crisis, says the tribal chairman. We have mothers giving their children away for sexual favors for drugs. We have teenagers and young girls giving away sexual favors for drugs. No number records specific rates of local sex trafficking, which can often be buried in crimes of sexual assault, abuse, prostitution, abandonment, or kidnapping. But it is a crime poorly documented and fueled by drug abuse plaguing Indian reservations. The rate of meth use among American Indians is the highest of any ethnic group in our country, and more than twice as high as any group, according to the National Congress of American Indians. Number of drug cases in the Indian country has risen sevenfold from 2009 to 2014. It is a crisis, and we somehow don't seem to get a crisis response from the Department of Justice. And I'm beyond frustrated. I asked the FBI chairman in this room to come to North Dakota to actually give us a plan. We don't get, we get, well, let's put an FBI agent in Bismarck and hopefully they'll get over to Newtown sometime. In this story, 6 children in 2 weeks born affected by methamphetamines. We don't know what the consequences of that is long term. And I agree with you that this is a community problem, but we have to have a cop on the beat. And I will tell you, I don't think we have a cop on the beat in Indian country. I don't think there's anyone, the National Congress of American Indians calls it the asterisk nation. And as I was just reminded at a hearing, Senator Kennedy once said, our first children have become our last children. They're last in people's mind and people's memory, but they are suffering and their families are suffering. We need law enforcement. We need to have attention to this problem. We can't suffer another generation and we can't sacrifice them to methamphetamines. And it is beyond frustrating for me that in spite of our repeated requests, we don't seem to get the level of attention to this problem that we need to get to this problem. And I just hope that you take back to the Department of Justice that our preamble to the Constitution says to ensure, to provide justice. Where is the justice in Indian country for Native American children and families who are terrified by this epidemic? Where's the justice? Where is the accountability? Where's the law enforcement? This is a major crime. You are the cop on the beat and you're absent. And we have got to get this fixed because we can't begin to solve the cultural issues. We can't begin to solve the public health problems until we have a cop on the beat providing a deterrence. Because when you don't have a deterrence of any kind, you have rampant abuse. And that's what we're seeing. And the people who are suffering are our children and our families who are working very hard in very difficult situations. And so I hope, and you just happen to be the guy in the line of fire today, but I hope you take that back to the Department of Justice. I know there are very many people working. I have talked about this directly with the Attorney General, This is not a new issue for us. This is a committee that sees it every day. And we have got to get some help. And we've got to have you treat it at the Department of Justice like the crisis it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.